What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Listen, I'll full disclosure. This is the first time I've logged into our StreamYard in a while, so it's the first time we're getting a recorded video in a while on the So Rare NBA channel. Appreciate everybody who's been tuning in over on the playback streets. Also, let's update this, huh? Beautiful. We've been doing a lot of content over on the playback street. So if you've been missing out, you find a link in the description. Come hang out with us. We've been doing our live before locks over there, which I know a lot of you have seen. We're also streaming a lot of the NBA Finals games. But because we're in the finals, it means it's time to start thinking about the offseason. I'm going to start doing 1 or 2 videos a week on this channel. I'll still be putting some of the stuff behind the VIP paywall as well. You'll get at least one of those a week. But I wanted to start thinking about how I am going to attack the offseason. Whether it's like scouting certain players, whether it's putting money into certain tiers, whether maybe we even talk a little bit about what I need to see from So Rare NBA before I start giving them some more of my sweet, sweet cash or ETH, if you will. But I figured I needed to circle the victory wagons one more time before we go full off season. So what we're going to do today, we're going to remind everybody that I came in first in the rare contender and won a Wemby. But more importantly, I want to think about how to use that Wemby, whether I use it on the marketplace or whether I just get ready for our next season for what would that be? Season 3 in So Rare NBA. So let's revisit. This was a couple weeks ago. We were in rare contender, baby. Rare contender. You can see this sweet lineup here. This is our last run at the conference finals. You saw our guy slow-mo Kyle Anderson. It's the first time I've ever celebrated a Kyle Anderson before in my life. He had a cap of 10, smash for 24. Our man Daniel Gafford, who actually had a pretty good game in game 2 of the NBA finals. He had I can't do the math. What is that? Plus 18. He's like, oh my gosh, my God. Is that a cap of 19? I don't know. No. 23, cap of 23, goes for 41. Our guy Kyrie outkicked his cap by 27. He finished with the 63. Al Horford did it by 12. And then look at Mr. Nembhard, huh? So rare, superstar. Andrew Nembhard goes for 60 himself. He finished 20. And what did that win us? That won us a Victor Wembanyama. Look at this beautiful boy here. I think what was exciting about Wemby here is there's only been 50 of these made. And that's not just 50 in year 2. It's 50 altogether because he's a rookie, right? You can see smashed his last 4 game weeks, but it got me thinking, how do I approach this heading to next year? Of course, we're on the Team Hold channel, so we're supposed to say Team Hold. But here we go. I was looking at it, and you see the lowest ask here by this guy, Wasnatar for PlaySharper.com is listed for $1,400, 0.38 ETH, if you will. Most recent sales, right? 3 days ago, we saw one go off the market with an offer at $1,200 on the dot. About a week before that, you saw it go for $1,376, a $1,300 in April 2nd from auction. And then before that, it was a March auction. So there hasn't been a ton of rare sales for Victor. But again, you remember, there's only 50 of them. So there's not going to be that many of them. Maybe we see 1, 2, 3 more rewarded here as we finish up both the championship chase and then the individual game week that we're in right now for the finals. So let's just say this gets up to 60. Let's say 10 more. That's probably too high, but let's just say it's 60. But it got me thinking, right? I don't have a good rare MVP right now. I don't. My rare bags were pretty limited. As we go back and look at my club here, I'll show you the rares. I think we're down. We gave away so many rare cards. We had a Kyrie Irving rare for a little bit, but clearly Wemby is our best play. We got a lot of garbage over here. We got Bruce Brown, some slow-mo, Al, Neesmith, Franz Wagner. You see some Micic and Trey Mann, Michael Porter Jr., Jabari Smith. Scotty Barnes, okay, Scotty Barnes, that's a legit one. We saw Emmanuel Quickly, who was popping off, Josh Hart, who turned into a superstar in the playoffs, Kyle Lowry, but that's really it, right? So Wemby is our main dog. Now, by getting the MVP, that's like the hardest thing to do, right? The hardest thing to do is whether it's like a Luka, a Jokic, an Embiid, Giannis, whomever. And now Wemby's in that category. Wemby was playing like a superstar down the stretch in those last few game weeks, right, that we saw here. You saw him go 57, 73, 54, 57. That's not even game weeks. That's consecutive games that he was doing that. But it got me thinking again. Say we saw the most recent sale for 1,200. The one that's listed right now is 1,400. Let's split the difference. Let's say we had a $1,300 budget right now, right? Say we flip this Wemby, we got it for 1,300. I'm curious what you all would do here. Would you just ride out with this Wemby, and then in the offseason, start to fill in the gaps a little bit. Get some of those second tier MVP type plays when you're thinking about a champion lineup. I think Scotty Barnes is a great example of one of those, right? Or if you go into this 13 range, right, let's kind of sort by, let's go look at the rare market here, which is a whole nother thing. And it's going to be filtered by like best play. And so again, we're going to say it's 1300, not 1400, because we haven't seen a sale for that. But we have what is that? An $800, $750 difference between Victor Wembanyama and Nikola Jokic. And then almost, a $900 difference between Wemby and Giannis. And then even more for Embiid. And then after that, and like Luka's down here at 600. So Luka and Jokic pretty much the same, although Luka will dip a little bit more. This is being propped up because he was playing right now. And the other thing to keep in mind, the year 2 boost is just about to go. So the difference between year 2 and year 1 doesn't really matter as much, actually. If we look at some of the Jokic pricing right here, it's a pretty big jump from 541 to 621 to 647. Now, we might see this bleed out a little bit more here into the offseason as people aren't playing their cards that much anymore. Maybe they want to, their attention drifts towards baseball because they're bored, or MLS or some Euro Cup stuff. Who knows? But it got me thinking, right? Would you rather have this Wemby for 1300, or what if you could build like starting with Jokic, right? 541. So what did we say that difference was? Like a $750 difference. I'm nervous that math is wrong. A $750 difference. That means you could scoop Jokic and honestly get Giannis with it. Or you could get a Jokic and a Luka, or a Jokic, and then you come down here and get guys like De'Aaron Fox for $70, Maxey, like Brunson, and build out like a real contending team. Now, the pushback on this, right, is that the Wemby is a little bit more unique. Although it's not a unique, it's a rare. Let's be real, but it's a little bit more unique because there's less of them, and that rollout is going to be a lot less, right? It's going to take a lot longer for the Wemby rollouts to catch up to those Jokic and Lucas. So I'm competing against a ton of other people who also have the Jokic. Where the Wemby, if Wemby is the highest scoring player of that game week, I'm only competing against like 45 to 55 other guys. So there's a competitive advantage for sure for having a Wemby. But I keep going back and forth. Would you rather have the Wembanyama, who's probably going to take another leap in year 2, right? Well, we saw from that second half of the year, you got to think the Spurs are going to, with the picks 4 and 8 and free agency, they're going to try to fill in some rotation pieces, right? You would think that would happen. But at the same time, to be able to fill in the rest of that roster while not having to spend a single dollar. Like right now, if I keep that Wemby, I'm going to have to be paying for these other players, which again, let's actually like do the math out here on this one. Let's do it. So we got, and let's say it's Jokic. I still think Jokic is going to be the most consistently highest scoring player week to week. And maybe like he comes back with a little dog in him after getting bounced in the second round of the playoffs, right? It's not like, I know when you like look at this photo and you're like, oh man, he's still in his prime. He just doesn't look like it. Like I'd rather have Giannis's body right there. But all right, so we get the Jokic, that's 541. That leaves us with 750. I want to know where people would go next, right? Like I'm assuming rarely are you playing like Giannis and Jokic and Giannis and like all these guys in the same lineup. So I bet we're dropping down a little bit here and we can get into this like mid 40 range. Like, dude, Anthony Edwards at $200, Maxey at $87. Like both of those guys primed to continue to develop into year 2. Brunson at 64. Like you literally, again, so 750. Let's say you can get Ant and Maxey. That puts us at $300. That still leaves us with 450. Get Brunson too. Now we're down to 380 something, right? You could get Sabonis. Now you still got $280. You could get Mitchell. You still got another $180 left. I know I'm doing math off the top of my head, so it's probably bad. And then look, like, I mean, and fucking, you could get Van Fleet, DeRozan. You could just kind of scoop all the way across, or go grab somebody like Hallie. Şengün is down here. Also, it's probably the time to buy these guys who were like missing time, the Şengüns, the Jaws, the Zions. The Steph's down here at $60. Now, again, I know the sex appeal of somebody like a Wembenyama coming off a unanimous Rookie of the Year, where he was just like the most dominant player in the league. Again, like the scarcity thing that we already talked about. Um, I don't know. I don't really know what the path forward is. And for me personally, the idea of just scooping up, having like 10 competitive rare card, honestly, probably more than that, like 12 competitive rare cards versus having this ultimate MVP card in Wembenyama. My lean is to just go collect a bunch of cards, right? Because you're going to think, I mean, again, man, I keep going back and forth because again, the scarcity of Wemby is what that's where the power in that card comes. Because even if only say he's the highest score, say Jokic on average, say he's the highest score 1 out of every 4 weeks, and Wemby's the highest score 1 out of every 8 weeks. Like you're still competing against so many less people that 1 out of every 8 weeks, and all it takes is one big smash in the rare champion, and you're winning ETH, you're winning a tier 1 and then a tier 4 super rare. And that's the other thing we could do, right? We could go look at some super rare stuff while we look at the marketplace. And like we're like I mean, it's probably not juicy enough to actually go do that. You could get like a Brunson and a Fred Van Fleet for a Wemby. I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that. Or the other thing you could do is just really dominate the limited. You could just, for 1,400, you could just corner the Wemby market. You could just get one of everybody. So I don't know. That's kind of something I'm struggling with heading into the offseason, because I do think like I again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not going out here being like the market's at an all-time low. You got to get out there and buy. I'm not saying that. But I do remember this happening last season, where I thought there would be a longer bleeding out, if you will, until the start of the new season. And really in August, it started pumping up again. Now, I don't know if that will do that again. I think there was some more positivity and upside around the sorare NBA product heading into year 2 that maybe there will be heading into year 3, just because I know there was some real frustration with some of the rewards, which we'll talk about in a later episode, or just like rares in general, which again we'll talk about in a later episode. But that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to go back and forth. Do you hold on to the Wemby, or do you go buy a bunch of other players? So I really am. This isn't one of those like, let's build some engagement, smash the like, repost, put a comment. I mean, I want you to do all of those things, but I genuinely am interested in people's feedback here. How would you handle this heading into the off season? And yeah, let me know in the comments, and we'll be back again. I'm going to try to bang out 2 of these a week or so, especially once the NBA finals end. Appreciate all the support throughout the entire NBA season. Shout out to everybody that's won some rare tier cards. Actually, you know what? For those that have tuned in this long, we're going to give away another rare tier card, but you got to comment. Now we're forcing algorithm, baby. Drop a comment in here. What would you do? Hold the Wemby or flip the Wemby? And let me know what your first buy would be too, if you did flip it. But we're going to end with the live before lock video, because I don't have any other videos to share with you. But we'll be back. Appreciate everybody watching. We are out of here, boys and girls.